Welcome everyone. In today's video, I'm going to show you the liquidity mining program that is currently going on Larix. So Larix liquidity mining program has been going on for, I think, a few days now at this stage. So I'm a little bit late to it, but I figured it's still probably worth your time going here and doing some liquidity mining, just because you'll be able to get Larix tokens for free just for putting stablecoins in, essentially. The only thing that you will lose is the opportunity cost. So whilst you put your stablecoins in here and earn yield, you're not going to be able to use them elsewhere in the DeFi ecosystem, and you're not going long some other tokens which may get you like better gains. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, Larix is currently paying people to use their platform. This platform is essentially just another lending and borrowing marketplace. If you're familiar with Solend um, or Port Finance, you should be familiar with Larix. So you can come here, you can deposit assets and then borrow against them, or you can simply just deposit your assets and earn a safe yield over time. So Larix is currently paying people to both supply assets and also borrow assets. So if we look here at the USDC, you can get 14.62% APY, and that will be 8% natively USDC you'll get returned, and it will also be 6.54% in Larix tokens. And if we take a look at the borrow APY, you'll still be paying to borrow, but it won't be as much. So this 19.99% is the typical amount that you would pay to borrow, but you're also getting paid 12.94% APY in Larix tokens. So the overall borrow APY is only going to be 7%. And as you can see here, you've got USDT, Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin, Serum, and FTT as well. So it's probably worth coming to Project Larix and doing some liquidity mining. So if you're confused, liquidity mining is essentially projects will give tokens to people just to use their platform, and then people come in, supply liquidity. So it means that the actual platform itself is usable, because a lot of the times when these projects don't have liquidity mining programs, no one uses them. So when legit users come over and see this lending and borrowing marketplace, and they see that there's not a lot of lending and borrowing going on, they won't want to use it. So it's sort of like a flywheel. It gets people more involved, and it's also a way of like decentralizing the governance. So these Larix tokens will go to the people who are actually using the protocol, and then a DAO is going to form as well. So taking a look at the roadmap, we see that in 2022, so like in a couple months' time, they're going to allow tokenized asset-backed securities and wrapped NFTs as collateral that you can supply on Project Larix. So that's account receivable factoring, invoicing, mortgages, student loans, as just a few of the options that you'll be able to deposit into Project Larix and then borrow against, which I think is quite cool. So definitely keep an eye out for Project Larix. But I'm going to show you just a quick strategy that you can use to maximize your yield when you're liquidity mining on this platform. So essentially what you're going to want to do is deposit any asset that allows you to get supply APY. For simplicity's sake, you can just use USDC. I think this is the least risky out of the all of these tokens that are available here to supply. So you want to deposit as much USDC as you want. So you go to supply, crank it all the way up, press supply, and then borrow as much as you can. So you can only borrow 75% of the USDC that you supplied. So if you deposited $1,000, you could only borrow up to $750, which is fine. So you want to do that, you want to crank that all the way up. And then you've borrowed $750 from Larix. You take that $750, put that back into supply, press supply, and then borrow again. So essentially you're just doing this in a loop. You're borrowing money from Larix, putting it back into Larix, borrowing against that, and then just doing that over and over again. And then you're extracting as much yield as possible, and you're actually making more on the supply APY versus how much you would be paying on the borrow APY. So there was a great article on the Solana update website. I'll link it in the description down below. And basically they did this yield farming strategy for the Port Finance liquidity mining program. So you can use a similar strategy with Laryx, because they're like very similar protocols. So theoretically, the maximum amount of leverage that you can get on Laryx is going to be a little under 5x leverage. See, on Port Finance, the maximum LTV you could get was 80%, and that gave you a 5x leverage on Port Finance. So because Larix is currently giving you only a 75% LTV, you'll be getting slightly under 5x leverage. So you can do this. It will take a little bit of time to reach the theoretical maximum leverage that you can get. However, as it says here in the article, you should probably just stop once you get to 90% of the theoretical maximum leverage, because the diminishing returns you make performing the additional transactions are not worth it beyond this point. And you can calculate your current leverage by taking your current total deposits and then divide it by your initial deposits. So if your current total deposits are like $4,000 and your initial deposit was $1,000, then you've got 4x leverage there, and there's probably not that much point going too much further. So what's also nice about this is that you won't be getting liquidated because your deposits and borrows are denominated in the same asset. So changes in the value of the underlying asset will not affect your collateral ratio, and thus you cannot be liquidated. And that's a nice thing about this particular yield farming strategy. Just keep in mind that anything can happen in crypto. So whilst this does seem like it's very safe, like you could just get wrecked. Like the Solana blockchain actually went down about a week ago for about 17 hours, and things like that just happen a lot. It's crypto, anything can happen. Um, I would say that Larix is just safe to deposit money in because it's got a lot of backers from legitimate venture capitalists. So you're not going to get rugged depositing your money into Project Larix, but there might be a smart contract exploit. So you've always got to keep that in mind as well. Additionally, building up that leverage takes a while to do, and then repaying everything back also takes a while to do as well. I was doing the same strategy on Port Finance, and it took a long while to unwind the farm again. So just keep that in mind as well. So thank you for watching. Make sure to try out Project Larix and be safe out there.